While Taiwan fortifies its defenses and conducts civil preparedness drills, the broader region is also recalibrating. The United States has reaffirmed its commitment to defending Taiwan under the Taiwan Relations Act, which obligates Washington to help Taipei maintain a credible self-defense capability. This support has materialized in arms sales, military training, and the recent stationing of strategic assets in nearby Pacific bases. Australia, key regional ally, has likewise been drawn deeper into this evolving security architecture. Joint naval patrols in the South China Sea and intelligence sharing pacts with Japan and the US have elevated Australia's role as a Pacific security player. In particular, discussions under the AUKUS trilateral pact between Australia, the US, and the UK now frequently reference Taiwan in confidential briefings. Meanwhile, South Korea, though focused on threats from North Korea, cannot ignore the potential spillover effects of a Taiwan crisis. A regional conflict involving the US and China would almost certainly have repercussions on Korean trade, sea lanes, and economic stability. The Philippines, situated at the gateway of the South China Sea, has allowed U.S. forces to use select bases under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement (EDCA), citing regional security concerns. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has said that the Taiwan issue directly affects the Philippines, and we must prepare for any contingency. China's strategy: pressure without provocation. China's military posturing is increasingly strategic, designed to exert pressure without crossing the line into open conflict. Experts believe this so-called gray zone warfare aims to exhaust Taiwan psychologically and politically. From simulated amphibious assaults off the coast of Fujian province to cyber attacks on Taiwanese infrastructure, Beijing is employing a spectrum of coercive tactics. The number of Chinese cyber intrusions on Taiwanese government servers has surged in 2025, many aimed at disrupting defense systems or sowing disinformation about the government's response readiness. Moreover, PLA Navy vessels regularly encircle the island in combat readiness patrols, while drones from China have intruded into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone (ADIZ) with increasing frequency. These provocations serve to normalize a state of military tension and test Taiwan's response thresholds. Civilian morale and national unity. Despite the constant threat, morale among Taiwan civilians appears to be strengthening. Public opinion polls show increasing support for military readiness, conscription reform, and even an extension of compulsory service. In 2024, Taiwan reinstated a full one-year conscription term, citing the deteriorating security environment. Cultural campaigns aimed at raising awareness of civil defense have also taken off. From public service announcements on evacuation routes to apps that guide users to the nearest air raid shelter, Taiwanese society is adapting to the idea of living under a constant state of alert. The Taiwanese government is also working with local NGOs to provide mental health support during drills and military alerts. Psychological resilience is being recognized as a critical component of civil defense. International response, ASEAN, and beyond the international community is closely watching the Taiwan Strait. NATO, while traditionally focused on the Atlantic sphere, mentioned Taiwan for the first time in its 2024 strategic concept, calling stability in the Indo-Pacific vital for global security. ASEAN nations remain more cautious, wary of being drawn into a geopolitical rivalry. Nonetheless, countries like Vietnam and Indonesia have expressed concern over rising tensions and called for dialogue. While ASEAN has not taken a formal stance on Taiwan, several members have increased military cooperation with the US or Japan in recent months. India, a strategic counterweight to China in the Indo-Pacific, has also grown vocal. Although adhering to a One China policy, New Delhi has strengthened maritime cooperation with Taiwan and included Taiwanese representatives in academic and trade forums. Indian military analysts are increasingly factoring in Taiwan scenarios during war games, especially with China's growing naval presence in the Indian Ocean. The economic stakes, semiconductor supply, and global trade. Taiwan's strategic importance extends far beyond its geographic location or military relevance. It is the beating heart of the global technology supply chain. The island is home to Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company (TSMC), which alone produces over 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. These chips are not just components, they are essential to everything from smartphones and cars to AI systems and weapons platforms. A Chinese attack on Taiwan or even a prolonged military standoff could have devastating ripple effects on the global economy, disrupting production across multiple industries. In anticipation of such risks, the United States has invested billions into reshoring semiconductor production, pushing initiatives like the CHIPS Act. But experts agree, building the capacity and expertise that Taiwan has amassed over decades cannot be replicated overnight. A military crisis in the Taiwan Strait could trigger global inflation, supply chain disruptions, and technological slowdowns. European nations, too, are quietly mapping out contingencies. Germany, whose economy is heavily reliant on precision manufacturing and electronics, has labeled Taiwan's semiconductor security vital interest. As a result, Berlin has accelerated talks with TSMC to establish joint ventures within Europe. Meanwhile, China is racing to achieve self-sufficiency in chip production. Yet despite massive state funding, it remains years behind Taiwan in both technological capability and fabrication scale. This technological dependence adds another layer of urgency and danger to the cross-strait dynamic. The diplomatic arena, silence, statements, and strategic ambiguity but the rising tensions. Many countries continue to navigate the delicate balancing act of recognizing Beijing's One China policy while supporting Taiwan in practice. The United States, through its policy of strategic ambiguity, continues to sell weapons, provide training, and support Taiwan diplomatically, all without formal recognition. President Donald Trump, in his recent address, reaffirmed America's commitment to Taiwanese defense, while avoiding explicit declarations that could provoke Beijing. The European Union, while more cautious, has also begun to shift. The European Parliament has passed several non-binding resolutions calling for deeper economic and diplomatic ties with Taiwan. Lithuania, in particular, has led the charge, allowing Taiwan to open a de facto embassy in Vilnius, drawing the ire of Beijing. China, in response, has ratcheted up economic pressure and diplomatic isolation, even sanctioning individual European lawmakers. This tactic, however, has largely backfired, with more countries now reassessing their policies toward Taiwan and China. The United Nations, bound by its recognition of the PRC as the legitimate representative of China since 1971, remains officially silent. Yet, within diplomatic corridors, Taiwan's exclusion from global health and security forums is being questioned, especially in light of its transparent handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and growing international profile. Cyber frontlines, a silent war beyond traditional battlefields. The cyber domain has emerged as a frontline in the standoff over Taiwan. Taiwan's Ministry of Digital Affairs has reported a threefold increase in state-sponsored cyberattacks targeting government infrastructure, power grids, and financial institutions. Analysts say that many of these attacks are aimed at crippling Taiwan's ability to function in wartime conditions, including disabling emergency alerts, jamming communications, or spreading panic through fake news campaigns. In response, Taipei has established a cyber command and is collaborating with partners like the United States, Japan, and Estonia on cyber resilience exercises. American companies such as Microsoft and Google have also committed to providing cloud redundancy and threat mitigation platforms to protect critical Taiwanese assets. But cybersecurity experts warn that information warfare could precede kinetic warfare, blurring the line between peace and conflict. Already, social media platforms in Taiwan are being flooded with pro-Beijing narratives, conspiracy theories, and attempts to undermine public trust in the government. And for the rest of the world, Taiwan's fate is not a distant issue. It touches every smartphone user, every automobile factory, every AI research lab. It is a litmus test for whether democratic nations can stand together to prevent coercion and preserve the international rules-based order. The sirens that halted life in Taipei this week were more than a drill. They were a message to the people of Taiwan, to their allies, and to their adversaries. A message that Taiwan is preparing, that it refuses to be caught unaware. As civil defense exercises, military drills, and diplomatic chess games unfold, the world is witnessing a slow, silent struggle for the future of East Asia. Whether this ends in peace or peril remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the time to pay attention is now.